Screaming. Welcome, Bronco Country, or Bronco Nation, I should say. We are the Bronco Country Roundup, and I am Evan Sanford, joined by Chase Glorfield, Carter Davis, and Chris Van Sickle. It has been a long bye week, but this week we get Boise State football. Friday kickoff at, I believe, 7 p.m. my time, so 8 o'clock for you losers in the Mountain Time Zone.
Damn.
8:30, and it's going to be rough.
The Pacific.
I mean, if we did Hawaii, we could handle this.
Well, that's true.
That's true. Pacific Time Zone is the superior time zone for sports. All right. Well, today, I'm not going to let you guys respond to that.
Move on ahead.
Move on ahead. Today, viewers, we are doing a mid-season awards. So we'll be having some fun today, reviewing who we think has been the best in various categories to this point, like is the season so far. Because we are officially at the halfway point. That season's halfway gone. That's sad. But there's a lot left ahead of us. We've got a recruiting update that Chris is going to take us through. We have some awesome clips from the interviews today that we can share with you guys and kind of give our reactions to. And then we'll do our UNLV preview as we always do. So stick with us till the end because, well, we're going to make you, because that's when we're going to announce the actual winners to the awards. All right. Oh, and before I get started, just another reminder, we are doing that ticket giveaway for the San Diego State game. That will be announced on the podcast next week. So, we're filming on Monday. It'll be on Tuesday, the 29th?
Correct.
You can enter by commenting hashtag Bronco Country on any one of our videos on the channel, and we will enter your name in a hat, and then we will reach out to you when the winner is announced.
Free tickets.
Free tickets.
That's right. Over 50 or almost 50 entries so far.
That's nice. Dope.
We've gained like 30, 40 subscribers. So keep going. Love it. Let's keep this momentum.
Oh, yes. And you have to be subscribed. And another rule is that after the contest is over, you cannot unsubscribe. So,
well, we can't hold that.
We'll pull that entry right out of the hat. Throw it away.
We'll walk up to you and take those tickets away.
All right. Well, let's get things going, down to business, I suppose. We had a new commit. We've got some new offers going out. It's quite a whirlwind. Chris, you want to take us through that?
Yeah, we'll start with the new commit. He is a 6'4", 255 edge rusher out of Yelm High School. His name is Bowl.
Love it.
I confirmed that that's the pronunciation. It is Bowl. So, Bowl, congratulations on committing. He is a foreign exchange student from Alberta, Canada, where he played. Decided, hey, I need to get some more attention in this whole recruiting thing. Came down to Yelm, Washington, and is making a name for himself. He's got offers from Cal as well, but Oregon State and Vanderbilt, along with several other post or Pac-12 old school members sniffing around. I don't know what we want to call those these days. So he's a big kid. Has a lot of room to add weight. I watched his film. He's just one of those pass rushers that he's like a cat. He just slips through the gap. Really good technique. They actually caught him, found him while they were recruiting Jacob Tracy. He's another commit.
I don't know about that. If Jacob Tracy had any role in his recruitment.
Yeah, I've heard that's how they found him. Is they're watching video on Jacob Tracy and said, "Hey, this other guy's pretty good." So, congratulations to Bowl. I'm excited to see him on the blue.
And just to plug, viewers, if you are new to the channel, we covered the recruits a lot more in depth in the summertime podcast. So if you go back to the beginning and watch, like we covered Jacob Tracy or profiled him as well, go check it out. Like we had a little bit more time to get in depth with some of the commits and give you some information that way. So go check out some of the old videos. It still stands up to the test of time, I guess. If anything, those commits have gotten better.
They've all, I think, almost every one of them, their ratings has improved. I know one of them, AJ Jones, is hurt, so I don't think his rating is going to go up. But
well, in 24/7 Sports, Brandon Huffman, who's like the national stud for football recruiting, he had some really good things to say about Bowl and the looks he's getting from some schools. So that was a big pickup. I expected him to wait it out and see what other offers came his way, but the fact that he committed shows what Boise State has to offer when they get someone to visit.
Heck yeah. And love getting those international commits.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Which, so Chris or Chase, we had a flurry of JUCO commits. Or not JUCO commits, JUCO offers, sorry.
Offers, yeah.
They might be commits. They might be.
They are
They
potential.
might become commits.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just I'm putting good energy out into the universe. They
That's
will
what it
become
is.
commits.
Yes. Yeah, we did. I'll cover a couple of those. One of them is an edge rusher that's clearly a focus going forward is Ron Harden. He is out of Mount Sacramento Junior College, which I've been told is a pretty big time JC. So he just received an offer. And then Keyshawn Davila, the number one rated cornerback prospect, JUCO cornerback prospect. Sorry, I'm fumbling over my words here. He dropped his top 8, and Boise State was in it, along with University of Utah, Virginia Tech, for those that don't know, Arizona,
the uninitiated.
that's right, SMU, Michigan State, Illinois, and Washington State. So that's a pretty stacked group there. Boise State's right up there with the rest of them. I believe he did visit, and I believe he posted that he had a pretty good time on that visit. So that's always important. And I did notice today, as I was doing some research, that Baylor did offer like an hour after he dropped his top 8. So maybe that changes something. I don't know. But would be a huge get. They really are reaching out to the junior college more. I know Carter talked about this in one of our earlier podcasts. Junior college is clearly a focus, especially when our defensive line's losing a ton of experience this offseason. And they've offered a couple defensive linemen, and quite frankly, I don't think any of us would disagree with a good cornerback starting. So
No,
Not at all.
sometimes you need those bridge players to help fill in the gap, buy time for your younger guys to develop. Maybe they're not ready yet, and those JUCO guys, they can plug and play, not easily, but a lot quicker than maybe a redshirt freshman can.
Yeah, because we do have a Marion McCoy who was he was a JUCO coming out of oh god, it was on the Last Chance U. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, but not Butler.
The
Was it
Eagles. It was the Green Eagles in California. Whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're not paying us to give them advertisement, so it doesn't matter. But he's a JUCO, and he's now one of our best corners. So,
Yeah, Boise State's had success with JUCO players in the past overall. So,
yeah,
pay attention to those guys.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. All right. So now, speaking of exciting and excitement, we're going to move on to the announcement of our nominees for the midseason awards, or season so far, whatever you want to call it. We have a few different categories. Offensive player of the year so far, defensive player of the year so far, special teams, newcomer of the year so far, comeback player, and MVP. So, gentlemen, let's just go around. We will announce our nominees, but viewers, you're going to have to stick it out till the end. You're going to have to listen to us talk this whole time just to find out who the winner is. So, getting us started, Offensive Player of the Year so far, I nominated Cage Casey. He has been the best part of the non-absent best part of the offense. So that's my nominee.
Yeah.
Chase?
I went with the chameleon Matt Lauder. If he's not catching passes, he's blocking his butt off, depending on the game plan. So that's my guy.
Excellent. And Carter?
I went with Cam Camper. He is the obvious leader in receptions for wide receivers. He's double what Latrell Caples has. And I just think without him, our offense is very one-dimensional. So Cam Camper.
Absolutely. Chris?
I went with Mad Dog Matson. I've been impressed with him. I know he's not getting all the love, but I've loved what he's done. Runs this offense really well. Doesn't turn the ball over. So Matson.
I love it. And on to the Defensive Player of the Year so far, I should say. I nominated Marco Notriani. Again, he has been the best part of the best functioning unit of the defense. Same rationale as Cage Casey for the offense. And so I picked Marco Notriani. Chase?
I went with Zion Washington, one of our young safeties. He's become a guy I really pay attention to and watch when Boise State's on defense. He's doing a lot of good things.
Absolutely.
I went with Ahmed Hassanin. He leads the team in sacks, and this team leads the nation in sacks. So it seemed like a pretty 2 + 2 = 4 sort of nomination for me.
Okay. And Chris?
I followed Chase's in suit and went with Zion Washington as well. Just the most consistent defensive back, leads the team in tackles, has the most defensive snaps taken, yada, yada, yada. Zion Washington.
I love it. And before we get to Special Teams Player of the Year so far, viewers in the comments, tell us who you would nominate for each of these categories. Please.
And tell us where we're dumb and wrong. Tell us.
It's the bye week. Let's have a little fun. So go and throw it in. Tell us why we're dumb. Whatever. On the Special Teams Player of the Year so far, I nominated Dylan Riley. He's got the only kick return for a touchdown so far, and I believe that's the first one since, was it 2019 or 2020?
Couldn't tell you. Probably when Avery Williams was here.
Yeah. So it was one of those years. I know it's been a hot minute, so that was my rationale. It's been the bright spot of the year for the special teams. But Chase, go ahead.
I went with the low-hanging fruit and went with Jonah Dalmas. Not that he's not awesome because he's a stud, but he's so taken for granted now because he's so consistent. But that was my guy I went with.
Yep, I also went with Jonah Dalmas. Also, just because he hasn't been used that much, I feel like our red zone offense has been surprisingly good, so we haven't needed him as much. But still, he broke the Mountain West record for field goals, I believe. So just seems obvious.
Yeah. And Chris?
I went a little outside the box. I went with Marco Notriani. He was after the whole Oregon State debacle on special teams. They had a meeting. He stepped up. As a starter on defense, you don't necessarily think that he'll have a huge role on special teams. Since he's taken on that role, this coverage team has improved greatly. I can't back it up with stats. I just know what I've seen. And Marco Notriani is making a big difference on the coverage.
He's helping him pass the eye test a little better now.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, even if Marco does or does not go on to win the Special Teams award, that's actually a really good observation, viewers. That's a nice little nugget because, they did add Notriani to Special Teams after the Oregon debacle, and the Special Teams coverage units have been better as a result. That, again, they don't keep stats for you did a good job there. That's one gold star. Good job there, Marco. Unfortunately, they don't do that, but it has been a observable improvement on the coverage team. So honestly, I love your pick. Newcomer of the year, I went with Cam Camper. Carter already highlighted the reasons why he's a stud. So I went with Newcomer of the year, transfer from Indiana. Chase?
I went with the man who has the best first name on the team, Chase Penry. He's really come on.
Oh, wait.
That Utah.
Chase, wrong award.
Oh, sorry. What,
What newcomer?
oh, yeah. Sorry.
Ah,
Spoiler alert.
I went with Devon Banks. He's become cornerback 1 for me,
And he's got a great name.
and he does have a
Yeah,
great.
Devon's fine.
It's great. Sorry, guys. Won't be my last mistake tonight.
All right, Carter, who'd you go with?
yes, newcomer of the year. I went with Devon Banks. I thought at the beginning he wasn't used that much in the season, but as the games have gone on, we've seen a little bit more of him. I also think it took him kind of a short amount of time to get used because I think he got burned in the Oregon game, but ever since then he's been coming on strong. So I think he's definitely a great newcomer for us.
Yeah, and then comeback player of the year, I went with that was actually the hardest one for me to pick as a physical therapist, knowing how challenging it is to like just rehab your body in general, but then rehab for sport and then come back and play at a high level. I had 3 people that I outlined, and honestly, there was more than that. But Ben Dooley, Latrell Caples, Maddox Madsen for that award. Ultimately, I'm going with Ben Dooley because I think offensive line is just a heck of a lot harder to come back to. But I don't want to play Pain Olympics with those positions. They're all incredibly challenging. Like that was a hard pick for me. So I went with Ben Dooley though. Chase.
Yeah, Cat's already out of the bag, but Chase Penry coming back from that shoulder issue he had, and coming up from Colorado, he never really got going. But I feel like the Utah State game, they kind of focused on targeting him, and he's coming on strong and having a bigger role so far.
Love that, Carter.
Comeback for me is Latrell Caples, second in receptions for wide receivers on the team. Hasn't been utilized as much. I think that's just because our pass offense isn't what maybe was advertised in the offseason, but still think he's solid. Still think he's, is electric if he gets the ball in his hands. So that's the guy for me.
And Chris?
I went with Ben Dooley as well. It's a guy that has just been bitten by the injury bug his entire career. I've always wanted to see him play a full season healthy, knock on wood. So far, so good. And he is not disappointing. That offensive lines had dealt with injuries, and they have not skipped a beat. And his leadership, I'm sure, is a huge part of that.
And then we were having a lot of arguments about the MVP nominees before.
Absolutely.
So I was going with Tyler Crow. I believe Chase wanted Blitz the T-Dog. Carter, I can't remember who you were picking.
That's my guy, Blitz the T-Dog.
Yeah.
I believe, if I remember right, I was picking James Ferguson Reynolds. Even though he hasn't played in 3 games, he just has MVP aura to me. So that's...
Absolutely. And then
I went with Sheldon Newton because when I interviewed him, he has gigantic hands, and I'm afraid he'll beat me up if I don't. So, Sheldon Newton.
Honestly, I will say Sheldon Newton, I really want to be able to nominate him for an award, but dang injuries, that he is such a beast, though. Yeah. So, honorable
mention. If this was his first season here, he would have been my newcomer.
Yeah.
But
So hopefully he gets healthy. But ladies, gentlemen, viewers, we will announce the winners of those nominees at the very end of the podcast. So you're going to have to sit tight in just terrible, terrible suspense. But we have some entertainment in the meantime. So Chris was able to go down to the pressers today and record Eric Chinander, Dirk Koetter, and Spencer Danielson. But the real interesting, I guess, nuggets came from Eric Chinander. So, Chris, if you're ready and have those queued up, let's see them.
Yeah. Chinander really today gave some really good insight on the blitzes and how he uses them and really what we're seeing. I love hearing a coach talk X's and O's to the media and the fans. And anytime I can listen to them and hopefully understand a little bit more, I always want to. And I think others want to hear that too. So I'm going to play a couple clips. We'll play it. We'll discuss it in a second, and then we'll move on. And then I have a couple from Dirk Koetter as well. Again, a little more inside information I thought was interesting.
Perfect.
We'll go ahead and start with Eric Chinander. This question was, do you have a set amount of blitzes, or do you just go off feel?
It's kind of situation by situation, and we I think we do a good job of looking at how a team protects certain looks, how a team lines up to certain formations, what we're going to get from certain formations, and we know, who's important that we need to have in coverage in those formations and who's available to blitz. So I think that, our GAs, the other coaches on our staff, we do a good job of just breaking down protections and the looks, and that determines more on who we send than just I feel like, a DB needs a sack right now. Like, I don't care who gets sacks. I just like sacks.
I thought that was good inside information. He doesn't have a certain number. He doesn't care who's getting the sacks. But anybody else have any about on that, or should I move on to the next one?
What I see out of that is someone who's a lot more patient, and he's not going to be totally reactionary. Because if you find yourself reacting instead of being more proactive, then your defense is going to be on its heels all night long. Now, occasionally, that has happened, and especially with our defensive back. But at least the mindset is there. So he's not getting scared. He's not being overly reactive, but being proactive. And so that is actually nice insight to the mind of our defensive coordinator. Chase, Carter, any little takeaways?
Yeah, for me, it's been fun to see. I don't want to call them exotic blitzes, but the timing of some of the blitzes, like Hawaii, those corners and safeties coming off the edge. Sorry, guys, my kids are doing that.
That's all right.
It's fun. They're well timed more than anything, which is great.
Yep.
Yeah. No, especially in the second half against Hawaii, they were dialing it up. But what I really liked is his flexibility, changing up how he blitzes, going from the blind side instead of getting in Shager's face. Because he was scrambling, he was getting out of a lot of those blitzes, and then he changed it up. He was flexible, takes what the offense is giving him, and like what he said, and it's really nice insight into how his mind works. Carter, any nuggets?
Nothing off the top of my head there. I won't say anything mean. No, I'm just gonna.
Okay.
Well, you are the king of petty thoughts.
Yeah, I know, but there's no reason to go with it just yet. I have specific feelings about Chinander that I'm gonna.
What's going through your head might get addressed here in a couple more. So
hopefully, yeah, we'll keep it
there, buddy.
We'll keep it calm for right
okay.
now.
Well, this
Chris,
this next clip is kind of addressing what you guys spoke about the I learned a phrase, non-traditional blitzers. And the different kind of schemes and what he sees with it.
When you can make non-traditional rushers real, anytime they're at the line of scrimmage, they can be coming or they can be dropping out. So you got to honor those things, and that allows other people to get some one-on-one action. It doesn't allow you to, as an offensive line, doesn't allow you to slide it to the people away from those non-traditional blitzers as much. I think you just have to honor those looks and make sure that everybody that's on the line of scrimmage, how it goes. Like if a guy's never blitzed and he walks up on the line of scrimmage, he's probably not real, and you can probably not count him in the slide protection. So I think that helps create one-on-ones for everybody else, and it helps disguise some of the things we want to do in coverage.
Yeah, and I like that. I love seeing, like you guys said, the more exotic blitzes. I love looking at that, and they have just a line of defenders, and you don't know who's coming. And that's what he kind of addressed there. I like that. I like that. That's something that's clearly going to stay within this defense, and that we're going to be seeing for a while.
It's how you can compensate for a defensive line that can't consistently generate pressure, which I think, speaking of which, Jaden Virgin Morgan, he had a huge game for Hawaii. Hope that against Hawaii. Yeah, hopefully that trend continues because we need someone opposite Hassanein to be generating a pass rush.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't need so many exotic blitzes. But both Carter and Chase look on the verge of speech. I want you two to battle it out to see who gets to talk first.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you can go first.
I was going to say what Chinander's doing is not – I just kind of feel like doing this right now. Let's see what happens. This is – they watch film, they plan things, they practice certain things, and install these, whether that week or before, they bring them back into the game plan. It's very calculated. It's not, well, let's throw something at the wall and see what sticks. So that's what I wanted to say.
Love it. Carter?
I agree perfectly.
Do you, though? I have
fine. I'll do this. The one thing that bugs me about Chinander is that when I've gone with Chris a few times to these pressers. Usually I'm not able to make it, so I watch the clips or I watch online, but I've watched with him. And one thing that bugs me about Chinander is that he is all about, I take responsibility. We have a plan. I'm going to do this plan. And he says all this stuff about how we plan to do this stuff, but then the plan never seems to really come to fruition. Because, the secondary is not that good at all, but apparently it's been a plan to fix it for weeks now. And he's like, oh, and I don't want to be an armchair, defensive coordinator and all that sort of stuff. But just the way Chinander talks about how he's going to do these plans, how to do this stuff, it rubs me the wrong way because, as we decided last week, the defense isn't going to get any better. At least that's what I said. The defense is not going to get any better. You're halfway through the season. The defense is what it is. But I believed him at the beginning, but now it's turned into coach speak almost of just he's repeating the same thing over and over again. And I don't blame him for doing that. But by doing that, it just makes me lack sort of the trust in him and the coaching staff as a whole. I love what he is saying, but the execution versus what is being said is really the biggest rift for me in all of this.
Ooh. Ouch. I love it. No. I am here for this. Because, we are one of the worst defenses at passing yards, total yards allowed, pass yards allowed. I don't know where we are in total points. It's not great. It's less than what we're scoring, fortunately. So
yeah,
yay.
And I don't want to tear the guy down because I like how they're like a lot of the aspects of the defense and how it looks. It is literally how he says things that just makes me feel disingenuous. But I'm not here to break the man down, and that's why I was trying to stay back. No. But everybody's giving me looks to start yapping away. So here we are.
Bear. No. Poke him.
The bear.
I love it because honestly, that is your honest take on the opinion. It's not a bad one. It's quite good. There are some serious warts with the defense, and I want to reiterate to the viewers that all four of us, Carter included, we are rooting for Eric Chinander. We are Eric Chinander fans. We want to see him take the defense from the first half of the year, being what it is, to the top defense in the history of college football in the second half. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, I mean, give him a compliment here. I already have some stats pulled up for the defense. We're almost top 30 in rush defense. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. We're the best team in the country in sacks. That's amazing. The front seven is doing
always
great.
Throwing the ball.
It's just teams are always throwing the ball, and so it falls apart. And I would honestly sacrifice some good in the rush and sack defensive stats to bring the secondary stats up a few pegs.
Yeah. No, there's.
I think some of that will get addressed in this next clip, guys.
Oh, we've got one more?
Oh, I got a couple more, yeah.
Okay. Well, here,
this guy's saying good night. Say good night.
Good night.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
All right, get out of there. All right, here we go. Eric Chinander. This guy, this was, I got to try to remember what he was asked here. I believe it was just about coverage and sacks and kind of what you give up.
Yeah, a lot of coverage sacks, especially last week. There was quite a few coverage sacks. And then it's a very team-oriented stat, especially, the way we're doing it right now. Obviously, we got some really good edge rushers. But sometimes those guys have become the grenade a little bit and took a double team and allowed somebody else to get a sack. So it's very unselfish the way some of these are coming right now. DBs are having to play some man coverage, having to play some zero coverage, some of those kind of things in order to allow us to get those sacks. So, maybe if we played a little bit more zone coverage and rush 3, maybe we could get some more picks. Our team seems to be better when we're on the hunt a little bit and when we're aggressive.
I like that. When we're on the hunt and aggressive a little bit.
He just totally triggered me because he said, okay, maybe we could rush 3 more. I never want to see them rush 3 ever again. Never.
This is not a
Me,
rush 3 defense.
That's a coach who is, I've decided I'm doing the best with the hand that I have.
Yep.
Yes.
I agree.
Right? There's not a magic bullet that's going to suddenly, we're getting 3 picks and 4 fumble recoveries a game. Like, I'm doing the best I can with what I have, and it's not going to be perfect, but we're getting better. We're figuring it out the more games we play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I definitely think that we are that aggressive defense, and I'm glad that he's able to recognize that. It's just sometimes it's the coach speak when he gets the more generic softball questions that kind of get me going. But I think that answer was perfect. Basically, working with what we have, we could drop back, but I think we drop back, we basically hinder the defense from what it's best to do right now is to get into the backfield.
Yeah, and I just never want to hear him say drop or rush 3 ever again. No.
I should have played that one first. It would have saved Carter's blood pressure. I'm sorry.
Yeah, probably shortened my life by a few months.
They need to be rushing 5 or 6 at all times, and just don't rush 3. Don't rush 3.
You can't get mad when a coverage is busted at every once in a while. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway.
It seems like he is now basically like agreeing with what everybody has been seeing is that we are getting beat because we're rushing so much. I can accept that. If that is the game plan and that's how this team functions, I'm not going to sit there and tweet about the secondary, but I feel like that acknowledgement was lacking towards the beginning of the season. And maybe that's because he didn't really realize it at the beginning of the season.
He's like, okay, fine. That's what we are.
Yeah. He's like, okay, this is what we are. Okay. All right, Eric, let's roll with it. But he wasn't saying that at the beginning.
It's true. All right. Well, I guess moving on then. Well, unless we want to do another clip, I'm open to it. But we can move on and talk about how this defense will shake up or shake out. What's the expression? How things will shake out against UNLV.
Yeah.
I just stumbled over my words there. Forgive me, viewers. It's been a long work day.
I think I stole time from Dirk Cutter's clip, but if Chris feels like it's a really good one, we could maybe push that one.
Yeah, let me throw a couple Dirk Cutter clips in there. I'll play them back to back because they're basically there was one small question in between, so I couldn't cut it together. But I'll play them back.
Man.
It won't be more than 45 seconds. So.
Yeah, viewers, you're getting a treat today because normally we make you go watch another video on our channel.
Bonus content, baby.
Yeah. All right.
And this isn't ground-breaking information. This is him being asked about evaluating Maddox Batson.
He had some good things and some not so good things. I mean, it wasn't his best game. It wasn't a bad game. I mean, the things that we talk about every week. Mad Dog does a good job running the team. He's not turning it over. He's getting the ball out of his hands, which is having the effect where we have very few negative plays in the pass game. But we need to be more consistent with our ball location. So, it's a work in progress. Been a little up and down.
Then this next one is he was asked, what does ball location or ball placement actually mean?
Some of it's timing when you let it go. Some of it's ball location, inside, outside, high, low. Some of it's footwork. Some of it's trajectory. What type of throw. So different on different.
I just thought that was interesting because, everybody thinks ball placement. Oh, it wasn't out in front of him. Well, it's more than just that. It starts really when he gets the snap. It's footwork. It's everything, getting the ball out in time. So I just kind of thought that was interesting to hear Dirk Cutter say that and break it down a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely. And the timing seems to have been Maddox's big. I mean, occasionally accuracy, he'll float a pass or whatnot, but the most consistent problem with Madsen seems to have been timing. He's whether his footwork didn't happen at the right sequence or whatnot. Anyways, he's behind his targets a lot. So I think it's interesting that I acknowledge all the different components that go into that. And what I would love to hear is how they plan to fix it, but we won't get that. But either way.
One thing I really didn't like from that is Dirk saying it's a work in progress. It's like you're halfway through the season. This isn't a work in progress anymore. Kind of with the defense, what you get is what you got. What we got is Madsen, who's a game manager, and I don't think he's going to really grow from that for the rest of the season, at least. I think during the offseason, he could definitely change. But, hearing that our passing from our quarterback is still a work in progress, 6 games and 7 weeks into the college football season is a bit weird to me, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of a trend that we had like last season. I remember from the pressers where it's like, okay, we're going to keep growing, get all this stuff. And they were using those buzzwords. And it's like, well, at what point are you just kind of, you are what you are?
Mm-hmm.
What's the coach? They are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing halfway through the season. What these guys are is who they are.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm talking more coach speak, honestly.
Yeah.
You see, I don't. I'm going to disagree because I think coach speak is Danielson saying, we played great, but we're going to try to play better.
Mhm.
But with Dirk Koetter, I think he is seasoned enough, and I think he's had enough experience to know that his words matter. And so him saying that Madsen, didn't have his best game, still a work in progress, we're still working on these specific things. It wasn't like, he had a bad game, but he's going to grow, he's going to get better. It was he had bad ball placement. He had, not great footwork. It's still a work in progress. It's specific things. And that's what made me think it's like, okay, there's something more to this than just we were here, we're going to grow here to next week. Now, I might be reading too much into it, but the specifics is what catches me.
I think that's a good part.
And reading too much into it is exactly like what we are for. So let's read too much into it. Do you think this was a coach, not necessarily calling out a player, but like challenging a player publicly to get better at these specific things, to be a better quarterback?
What we got, Chase?
I think he's old and curmudgeon-y enough that he's just going to tell you how it is. Like he's just.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not beating around the bush anymore. This is this is what I'm going to do,
Yeah. I'm sure Madsen heard all of this Sunday afternoon when they were back in Boise.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think Dirk, also going with the veteran thing, he's just going to say what he thinks. He's not going to do that protective sort of speech. But by doing so, he allows somewhat experts like us to pick at his words and kind of read into it more than maybe a younger OC who would keep it more close to the chest would do.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into UNLV because this week we've got probably the biggest match left on the schedule. Like, I still think Oregon State is not going to be a cakewalk. There's still some pretty darn good games left on this schedule, but this is probably the biggest one. Could be a preview of the Mountain West Championship game, which I think it was Kevin on Twitter pointed out that the loser of this game does not control their own destiny for the Mountain West title game. So that's there is a lot at stake because then the loser of this game would drop behind Colorado State, who somehow are.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's just because they don't play Boise State or UNLV, and their most hardest upcoming games is Fresno, and I don't even know the other one. So if they're able to sneak past San Jose, which they did, they could sneak past Fresno, and there's no way to really stop them.
Are they just weirdly competent this year? That is something we have not seen out of Colorado State in.
Well, they don't have Torrey Horton anymore.
Yeah. What I think the Mountain West is very top heavy, and then basically the football gods made it so neither team controls their destiny if they lose this game. Just pure coincidence, I think.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a big matchup. Again, Friday, 7 p.m. if you're in the superior time zone. 8 o'clock for the plebs. Chase, what do you want to see out of offense, defense, special teams? What do you want to see out of Boise State?
Yeah, so I was just kind of going through. I'm kind of a stats guy. I look at stats to kind of help me get a story of what I'm looking for. UNLV's plus 12 on turnover margin this year through 6 games. Yeah. They've intercepted the ball 13 times and had 3 fumble recoveries, and they've only turned it over 4 times. Okay. And that their stud is that Jackson Woodard, that linebacker, former walk-on at Arkansas, who followed Barry Odom to UNLV. He's I think he had like 2 or 3 interceptions against Utah State himself. Like he's everywhere. So he's their stud.
He's going to be on camper.
Yeah, and they only give up 104 rushing yards per game. So I would venture to say Genty will have more than that. I'd venture to say, but they also run for 251 per game. And it's a combination. They have their quarterback, what's his name, Haj.
Williams.
Yeah, I'm trying to blank right now.
Williams.
Haj Malik Williams. He's a stud. They have Jadean Thomas, Kylan James, they have some studs in that rushing game. And then that Ricky White, the third, that receiver transfer from Michigan State, he keeps, again, kind of their Cam Camper. They're not one dimensional because of him out there. And they'll do a lot of those back shoulder fades to him where he'll streak down the sideline and Williams will put it just where the guy turns around, the DB's still sprinting down the field. Aaron Rodgers does it the best in the NFL. Offensively, they're solid. They don't turn it over a ton. Defensively, they cause a lot of turnovers. To me, that's what it's going to come down to. Can Madsen not turn the ball over, not throw interceptions? Can we not fumble? Boise State's favored by 3. That's almost a pick 'em with UNLV at home. It's going to come down to that turnover margin, which, I mean, it always does, but that's going to be very, very telling of what happens in this game.
Oof. Carter, what do you got?
I got some defensive rankings kind of in front of me here, and reading on Bronco Country a lot about like the predictions. A lot of people were talking about how like, oh, their defense is probably the best one or one of the best ones we'll face, or like, oh, their linebacker, like Chase said, is fantastic, which he is. Not to take away from Woodard at all, but would it surprise anybody to tell you that UNLV actually has a lower ranked total defense than Boise State? Because they are ranked 88th in the country, and we are ranked 86th. They are, which is just goes to show you that, defensive rankings are kind of all over the place, but they are technically have a worse defense than us. Their third down percentage for a defense is 58%. So teams almost 6 out of 10 times are getting first downs on them. They have the 37th best rush defense or red zone defense. They have a 37th best red zone. We have the 31st. They have the 20th best rush defense in the country. We have the 23rd. Our defenses, I think, are very similar in a lot of ways. And I think the key of the game, like Chase said, is the turnover margin. That's the one thing that they have blown us out of the water.
Very opportunistic, for sure.
Very, and that's problematic. But I think this game is tailored perfectly to the offense that Boise State runs. It is a run-heavy, do not put the ball in any sort of dangerous situations. And if you look at UNLV, they have a very high or very positive starting field position because of those turnovers. Yeah. But if you take away those turnovers, they're not an impressive offense. They do not move the ball down the field. They take advantage of the turnovers they get, and that's how they win these games. So I really think we have a good chance at winning this game because has built this offense to basically counteract the UNLV defense. And then at that point, it's up to Boise State defense. But truly, it is the turnover battle. And I think we are built to manage such a turnover battle.
Ooh, you guys are coming in hot with this. I love it. Chris, anything to add?
Yeah, I think special teams is going to play a big part in this. Their returner, DeJesus, believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was the preseason special teams player of the year. One of the best returners in the nation. But not just that, they've blocked a lot of kicks. Ricky White, the wide receiver that Chase mentioned, plays a huge role in special teams and has blocked several kicks. I think we are going to need to play flawless on special teams, quite frankly. I'm a little concerned with that returner. I'm hopeful they'll get that cleaned up and that we'll continue to see some positive improvement. But their return game is a very legitimate threat, and it's got me concerned.
Yeah,
and I hope they just kick it out of the back of the end zone every time.
Not out of bounds.
I don't care.
I have if you don't mind me stepping in again, I have about 400 tabs open on my Google Chrome here, and I was looking at some of their stats. The game they lost to Syracuse, who's not a great football team, Syracuse only turned the ball over once. It was one interception, and McCord threw for 355 yards on him. So, and I don't know if Madsen is capable of that, nor if they would want him to do that. I think Carter makes a point there. We control the ball, don't turn it over, and let our offense do what they've done this year. which is manage the ball, control time, and
Shorten that game.
don't do something funky for sure.
Yeah.
Thing I think that's super key because when if you don't stay ahead of the change against UNLV, they're going to blitz you. Is staying ahead of those chains. Don't get in 3rd and 9. I want run the ball, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. Don't get into those obvious passing downs because it's going to be problems for us.
Speaking of like the blitz, actually, Maddox Madsen has been very efficient with pressure in his face this year. He has something like
release.
Yeah, quick release. He's getting it out to whether it's his check down or whoever his target is. He has done very well against the blitz, which bodes well. He's been very efficient. Now, just while I'm talking here, I don't actually have anything to add other than what you guys said for the UNLV game, which I find myself quite surprised. I always have something to add. But I guess I'll just say what I want to see out of this team. Like with the defense, we know who we are at this point. So blitz, get a bunch of sacks, try not to get gouged too much, and play great red zone defense, hold them to field goals when we can. Offense, I really want to see a little bit of, I don't want to say mix it up, but instead of just doing inside zone every single time, let's see if we can get Genty on the edge once or twice. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Just keep them honest a little bit. I want to see the pass game get a little bit more efficient. I want to see us be maybe not a 4-dimensional offense, but I'll settle for 2-dimensional. No, but honestly, other than the generic, I want to see us play better, I don't have too much to add to what you guys already said. I think that was a wonderful summary. But that takes us, our viewers have been very patient. That takes us to the end, unless you guys want to add anything more to the UNLV discussion.
Boise State's coming off a bye week.
Yes.
Yep, that's good too.
Very, very good coming off a bye week.
That's good too.
Guys who are banged up are going to feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Hopefully that training staff did their work.
Lots of cupping, right? I just
I don't know how much the training staff at Boise State or at ISMI will use cupping. I know I use it rarely in my practice. But anyways, you got me talking about work. That's not cool. Okay, so let's announce. We'll go through the list. I'm going to give each of you guys. I don't want to just name them all. I'll do the offensive player of the year. Chase, you got defense. So we voted. We huddled amongst ourselves before the podcast and decided that Matt Lauder is the offensive player of the year so far. So congrats, Matt. You get nothing other than we love you.
Yep.
I mean, if these guys want something, I'm sure we could put something together, like a little participation trophy, or we could get it inscribed. If they see this and they want a little trophy, we will put that together.
Yeah.
But as of right now, they just get a congrats.
You can get a one for $15 at Walmart, I think.
I will hand inscribe it myself if they want it.
Run off the rails, guys.
All right, Chase, who was our defensive player of the year so far?
Was it the guy I nominated? I don't remember.
Yeah. Yep.
It was our boy Zion Washington. Look at that! Look at that man. Well deserved. He's coming on.
If you haven't watched the interview, go watch it. It's on our super nice.
Very well spoken. Good interview.
Yeah.
And Zion Washington might be. He's definitely a candidate for most improved.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Carter. Oh, I'm sorry. You get. You know what? I'll give you a better one. You look like. Okay. Chris, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stick you with the obvious special teams player of the year.
Oh, so I just get it. I can pick whoever I want. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's Jonah Dalmas. That's the man, the kicker, the going to be the hopefully all-time leading scorer, kicker, whatever. Jonah Dalmas, amazing. I remember. I don't want to talk too much here, but I remember when he was not even announced as a starter. The depth chart just came out, and I went, "Who the heck is Jonah Dalmas?" I'd never even seen his name before, and here we are. Seems like 10 years later, but it's really only 4
He's got his doctorate at this point. So
yeah, but Jonah Dalmas, amazing.
All right, Carter, you seemed like you just wanted a more interesting award, so I'm giving you newcomer of the year.
You're putting too much faith into my memory.
Oh no.
I got it. Was it the person I wanted?
I can't remember.
Yes,
who you wanted.
I think it was Banks. Was it Banks?
Sure.
No,
no,
Who was it?
the receiver. Alliterative name.
Somebody else say it. I don't know.
Cam
Cam Camper. Yes. Yes. That was
This
over.
is what
that was
happens
almost
when
an
Evan thinks
hour
we're
ago.
listening in the pregame meeting.
I was listening. It just was over an hour ago.
Oh no, I was just trying to get you a more
Carter,
interesting
you
award.
yourself said
We have a private chat for a reason. Somebody could have typed it. This is embarrassing.
I forgot about
Oh,
that.
you're right. I forgot.
Should I just
Without him,
handle the
our
last
Cam
two?
Camper. Let's
right?
go, Cam Camper. He
Cam
deserves
Camper.
it. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm a terrible podcast host.
Should I give you a redemption for comeback, or should I
No.
just like?
No.
Okay, I'll
Give
take
me
it.
MVP.
Move
I
on
can-
with our life.
I'll knock MVP out of the park. How about that one?
Ah,
All right, comeback player. This was really a hard one to decide. We landed on Ben Dooley, who is an absolute beast.
boom.
Got the picture.
Ben
Boom. There he is.
Yeah, and we talked about, especially with those two offensive linemen we lost early in the year, having him just anchor things has been phenomenal.
And Chris, you couldn't have found a more flattering photo.
Dude,
Every time we watch a game, my wife is like, "Why are their bellies hanging out?" I'm like,
How lucky.
finding a photo of an offensive lineman in action, dude, is tough. All right.
Yeah. I mean, do you remember back in the day they had those jerseys that would soak up the sweat right in the belly? And so the belly would be 5 shades. Yeah, it would be 5 shades deeper. I was like, why are they sweating so much on their stomachs? I know why, but it just looked gross.
Now I live that every day. Son of a gun.
All right, Carter. MVP redemption. Who is it?
It is Ashton Genty, the
What?
Heisman front runner, is our current MVP because
And
he
I
is
forgot
so
an Ashton
amazing.
Genty picture.
Everybody knows what he looks like. That's all
I'm
right.
just kidding. There's one.
There he is. Yeah.
not even one of him just standing like Michael Myers in the backfield. That's become a meme now. You guys seen that?
Yeah, it has.
yeah.
I love those TikToks.
I will say it was funny today. Koetter and Danielson were both asked in the interviews, what's up with him just standing there like that? And they were both looked at the reporters like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like they clearly had.
I
just
don't
wondered
get
if he developed it because he didn't want to give away like which direction he was going.
Could be.
My-
But that was his coping.
Yeah.
He was asked about it. And he just said, "I just trust everybody in front of me, so I have no need to get ready," which is a wild statement, but
There are
whatever.
kids across the nation that are standing in the backfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen TikToks of high schoolers where they're standing like that, and the captions are like, "Bro, for real, thinks he's Ashton Genty," and he gets tackled in the backfield. It's like, you're not built that way.
No.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, viewers, that brings us to the end of
It was worth sticking around for, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This brings us to the end of another Bronco Country Roundup. I'm Evan Sanford, joined by Chase Glorfield, Carter Davis, and Chris Van Sickle. Please like, favorite, subscribe, and then drop that comment, #Bronco Country if you want to enter a contest. But for now, good night and go Broncos.